thought it was just Blue and Stokes, but I got a little surprise for you guys. You thought the TriCast was going somewhere. No way, Jose. We're back, and we're here to do it yet again with a match that has some very serious implications. DarkZero looking to travel halfway across the world practically and go to Sweden. It's going to be a lot of fun, boys. How you guys feeling about it?
Cool. I want to see Beast Coast pull up.
I really do as well.
Too. Just like with the XSET one, I think that XSET start was great. We might see something similar. You know what? At least Beast Coast like this map.
Beast Coast.
Whether it's their greatest map is debatable because they've only won on 2 maps.
It's hard to say any of their maps are great maps, right?
But they like it. Just I hope that fondness translates into something. We've seen DZ have some serious stumbles, so there's always a possibility for at least some rounds to go BC's way.
The biggest issue for Beast Coast, though, is going to be who is going to step up in this match for them on an individual basis. The fragging power has been lacking to an extreme degree in quite a few of these matchups, including the one they played yesterday, if my memory is serving me correctly. So we need to see that improve if they're to have any hope of going out against DarkZero, who obviously have a whole titan roster of fraggable players here.
Of course, with such an insane game on the line, guys, we have to ask you guys at home exactly what is going to go on with this. We got a community poll to try and back that up. This one's going to be about DarkZero. There's a 6 major spot on the line for DarkZero, and they'll need a regulation win to secure it. Will one of the young gunners, NJR or Pambazoo, pop off, or will a veteran in the likes of Eclipse, Hyper, or Canadian get the most kills? You guys tell us at home, either inside the Twitch chat or on Twitter. Make sure you guys follow us at all of our social medias, including Twitter and Instagram at R6esportsNA. But Blue, what do you think about this one?
I think that this is going to be a pretty interesting question, actually.
Honestly,
but based on the play we saw at the beginning of today, I'm going to go with the safe pick of Canadian because he outwitted, he completely outfragged the rest of his teammates by far in the match we already saw DarkZero play earlier.
Oh, but I will say this. If you remember, the last time that we saw them, I believe it was Chalet, NJR had an insane start to that map. I'm pretty sure it was that one. I could be incorrect, but either way, personally, I'm going with the young gunners here. I'm going to go with the safe bet. I am not going to bet against NJR. Emzo, I mean, you got tenure here, man. You got to tell us something.
I mean, I'm gonna call the throwback that I'm an old school Eclipse fan. Back from watching him when he was trying to get on orbit, but couldn't yet. Like, he's a fantastic player. He has good matches and he has mediocre matches. I want to see him pop off. I want to see him dominate the scoreboard and remind everyone why he's continued to be a pro player this long.
I mean, we time and time again try to remind people what this man is capable of because, you know, Eclipse has always been that Swiss Army knife. You can put him in any role and he's going to find
certainly played many.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. He's done so much and he's been inside of the game for such a very long time. It's going to be difficult for anybody to try and fill those shoes if he does end up ever leaving DarkZero, and that's why I got to agree with you on this one. I really am feeling for both of you guys inside of this veteranism that DarkZero has, but I got to go back to those young gunners,
hey, man.
NJR has just been insane, and if Pambazoo steps up to the plate, this could be a pretty easy wash over Beast Coast.
I think anyone on DarkZero can step up to the plate. They're all capable of it. It's a question of how many of them do.
Yes, indeed. And from the games earlier and what we saw, John, I mean, Canadian was that man.
Yes, we're just waiting once again here for one of the players. Just to give you guys an update real quick on what's going on with the game, we're waiting on one of the players from DarkZero, and then we should be good to get started. But to quickly fall back on that point that Stokes was talking about, the Young Guns have really, surprised us this season. Specifically, Panba, of course, jumping in here and having some fantastic effort for DZ earlier on in the stage, and now being under the leadership of Canadian, arguably the most prolific.
The leadership, like, he just comes over and just breaks the stick in half, like there's only one opening.
So, if you're one
we're
of these...
going to have tryouts. Make it snappy. That's my favorite line from the Dark Knight, dude. Oh my gosh.
So if you're one of these young guns, obviously being under the leadership of Canadian is only going to bolster your own confidence there. And obviously following that leadership, you could be put into some pretty awesome plays, considering that Canadian could probably put these players in the exact positions to have massive impact on any single round here, as he has that massive lexicon of experience to build on over the past 5 or 6 years now.
Well, while we're kind of still on the topic of the Dark Knight, I got to use one more thing from this movie, obviously, and it's that, I mean, Beast Coast, depending on how this goes, they could be just a man wanting to watch the world burn, honestly, because they have every opportunity to take everything away from DarkZero, and no matter what happens, they're still in the NAL. It literally does not matter. They can do whatever they want. They could all unplug their keyboards, turn their monitors off and do literally nothing.
They should
and
just
they would
print
still
out
be
a-
in the
yeah,
NL.
To be fair, we have seen quite a few times in the past in Siege, teams do incredibly well when they have that pressure removed from them. They're able to play a lot more freely. They're able to be a lot more confident because there's pretty much no risk for the loss. So that means we could have a very, very chaotic Beast Coast here playing just for fun at the end of the day.
Are you telling me that mental health is important to play? Who would have thought about that? That's crazy.
You know, that being said, though, because this is the end, you're still kind of playing for your job, right? Because if they're looking to make cuts after this, you want to not be that guy that didn't show up against DZ.
I think we talked about this yesterday with you, Enzo, or Stokes, about how this is a great opportunity. This is going to be the opportunity, rather, to advertise yourself as a player, especially if you're not going to the major and you're potentially not going to SI, if you're not in contention for that with the amount of points you have. This is it right here. This is going to be your last chance to advertise yourself if things, unfortunately, don't go your way to stay on the team for the next season. So these players want to make sure they're putting out the best possible show here in their final game, so they'll be as appetizing as possible to be picked up again.
And that's what we want to see out of Beast Coast, because you mentioned it earlier, John. This team has not had their fragging department being worked out for them in the slide. It just isn't really lucrative at the point.
This is one team that, unfortunately, I'm expecting a pretty harsh rebuild going into the 2022 season just because of the performances we have seen over the past 3 stages.
Well, at least it's not Super. He's not going to replace 4 of them.
I mean, we never know.
It could happen.
It happened once. It could happen again.
Screw the Sonics. Beast Coast is my best friend now. No, but honestly, I agree with what both of you are saying here. The biggest thing going from what we saw previously for me for Beast Coast is what is young Alec going to be capable of? They've been leaning on him quite a bit this this stage, and last game he was just silent. We really didn't see all that much from him. I'm really hoping to see him bounce back in a convincing way up against DZ here. I mean, but it's going to be a very hard tale for Beast Coast either way.
Well, maybe we can change his name eventually to Grown Up Alec if he could finally show up.
Old Alec.
Old Alec, yeah. Wise old Alec.
Oh my goodness.
Frustrated Alec. He'll just change it's based on his emotions, at the time.
He just wears a mood ring to the stage and he's like, how am I feeling today?
That's actually his tag.
I mean, at this point, like, I'd even just be happy to see everyone on Beast Coast show up, even if there's not show up as in like, oh, they got to get double digits, but at least everyone, not at a 0, not sitting on the donut at the end.
Can I be honest with you? I just want a game. I'm so worried that Beast Coast is going to get like 7-2. That honestly, if I'm being very candid, I'm so worried about what's going to happen to Beast Coast in this.
Well, as I was joking yesterday, I already casted half the overtime matches for the entire stage.
Yeah, you did.
I'm on this one. It's entirely plausible, especially the way DarkZero have been playing.
Just to give you guys a quick update, by the way, on what we are waiting for. Obviously, we should have started the match by this point. Unfortunately, we got BC back. He was not ready initially, but we got him back. Unfortunately, I think his microphone is not working at the moment.
He somehow busted his mic, so they had to get him a new one.
We're working on fixing that, and then we should be good to get things started. Folks, we do apologize for that delay, and we are working on getting things started as quickly as possible. In fact, I think that they are ready now, so we should be just a couple seconds away.
I was going to say, it wouldn't be the NAL unless somebody broke something on stage and we had to wait, so, But either way, guys, enough of us delaying. It's officially time for the last game of the NAL Season 2. Isn't it magical, folks? It's going to be on Chalet. It's a winter wonderland that's going to have a lot of blood spilt here between DarkZero and Beast Coast. Let's get right into this.
We're going to get into the bans first and see who these operators will be knocking out. I haven't been going too crazy on the bans here today. Chalet leaves things a bit more open, specifically with regards to the attacker picks, though, so we'll wait and see what these two teams are going to select. DarkZero has their first choice as well as the final choice there for the 2 outer bans. Beast Coast on the attack. We'll get the 2 center ones, meaning the final attacking and the first defender ban. Going to follow through with what we've been seeing commonly here today, though, as Nomad's going to get knocked out first by DZ.
Putting the no in Nomad.
There you go. And honestly, I'm really enjoying this pick here from DarkZero. This is going to allow them to rotate around Chalet freely if Beast Coast was looking to implement that and try and prevent some of the rotations that happen around this map and really hamper the defense. Although, as we all know, Chalet already not fun to play on that side. Thatcher going to follow through, and Valkyrie as well for both the Beast Coast bans.
Pretty much rerunning the bans from the previous map right now, so no surprises whatsoever. We've got the final choice to come out from DarkZero, and again, I'm expecting nothing crazy to come from them
Mira.
here, but yeah, more than likely
Mira,
just going to see Mira get
No
eliminated, and...
Oh,
okay. That would make sense, too, though, ultimately. Wamai getting knocked out here. Mira, obviously still a powerful player inside of this map, but Wamai, the utility mitigation, I think is going to be much more useful for Chalet, especially for those...
a lot more nade plays.
Yeah, for those, specifically like the extended library positions and whatnot,
absolutely.
you're going to get way more use out of Wamai on this map than Mira, in my opinion.
Yeah, true. I 100% agree, especially because of the verticality that comes into this. You really can't do that much with her across the board, so I really respect this ban here. We're just so used to Mira being removed just automatically that, you never really know what to say until Mira's not banned. That's the thing, right? It's like, oh, yay, we got a Wamai ban.
I don't know. I mean, Valkyrie's starting to get into that position.
I mean, she
where
has
it's, like,
been
kind
for
of replaced,
forever, right?
I mean, just like really digging into being that they're pretty consistent
She's very
band.
much become like the Thatcher band of
Right.
the defense at this point in a
Exactly.
lot of ways.
You know what's hilarious? They're gonna pick Mira. That's what's hilarious.
The 6-pick, though, they're hiding it at least.
We do
Same with the knock,
see-
right?
yeah.
Do you ever not 6-pick in a knock? Right.
I don't think in the history of Siege anyone's ever direct picked
Unless they
knock and
6-picked
stuck with
away
it.
from it, right?
Yeah. If they 6-pick away from it, that's one thing. But I don't think anyone's ever picked knock and then stuck on it. At
would
least
kinda
not in a
do it-
match that I've watched.
You know, honestly, I would almost do it just because they would expect you not to do it at that point. They would think you're 6-picking something else.
There's a single individual that's done it, and you guys actually know who it is. It's Aces from Rogue.
Oh, really?
Yes, if you
Oh.
guys remember back in
Yeah.
the day when Nook just came out, he played Nook on
He was
Coastline
nuts.
constantly. Oh, nasty as hell, man.
I'm
that
not ready
guy,
to go back that far.
Dude, I played, I can't remember which Call of Duty it was, but one of the newer Call of Duties that came out, I believe it was Modern Warfare, I think. But we ended up playing like a respawn game mode. That guy dropped 90 kills. I only had 37. I was like, oh, I'm doing so well. Hold tab. No, I'm not doing
It
so
was
well.
a bad thing for the other team that they respawned because they just got to die again.
Have you ever wanted to just stay on the kill cam? It's like, please don't let me respawn. I don't want to see this guy.
All right, guys. Well, let's get into it. The round has started. DarkZero is going for a bar defense on the initial round. They will have that standard setup inside of the back hallway over there at Barrels to allow for their Mira player to sustain here and hopefully get some good swings out against the attack from Beast Coast in the final moments of the round. Away from that, though, it's the expected setup specifically upstairs here to support the extended position from Library that we were talking about before. This is where I will obviously not be able to assist as he's banned out, but they can put Mira windows there.
Indeed, and this is going to be very similar to what we've been seeing DarkZero run on Chalet. We just had one of these, I believe yesterday. DarkZero ended up playing this as well because obviously NGR are playing very similar positions, but the Mira adding a new layer to this top floor hold as well. They're using that around the library balcony area, and this could be something that they're able to get away with pretty easily. But now Anthony, oh, I'm absolutely loving this. They're not going to be able to keep track of him. And also with that Mira window, he's going to have so much insight into what's going on. But there's two people. Anthony gets aggressive, and he's immediately dusted.
I forget if there hadn't been two people, he might have been able to pull that off.
So either way, though, Sipit will be able to take control of that frag. There evens out the player count in a 4v4, but young Alec fights back just as quickly. It's going to be a whole bit of chaos here as Beast Coast are very quickly stealing away the library control. Oh, the pre-fire from Alec as well. Absolutely punishes Canadian when he tries to go for his aggressive swing. And now Beast Coast are in full control.
I'm absolutely loving what we're seeing from Beast Coast right now, especially with Fozo constantly popping these EE1Ds, making it difficult for DarkZero to try and get into some newer spaces and try and take back space as well. You can see Hyper trying to be forceful with his play right now, wants to try and hold on to blue, but the issue is now another EE1D. He's been marked, and also Jay's already halfway through a plant. Has to try and push upstairs, but also some members upstairs around this space for BC. And now with the post plant active, DarkZero got a long road ahead of him.
Beast Coast with a great read so far throughout the majority of this round here, fending off all the aggression from DZ, and as well punishing the on-site positions. Even these attempts to get aggressive now for the retake are being spotted well in advance, as Alec gets himself yet another one, and is going to try to seal the deal, but Jay gets the job done just as well, and Beast Coast secures a very confident first round.
Yeah, great offensive play there from Beast Coast, and I mean, only Anthony going down to that dual swing there
Honestly,
upstairs.
it was worth it. It became a perfect distraction. They took Library so fast after that because he was able to come in and just kind of break things up a little bit. Yeah, he died, but he was able to call it. There was two in that little closet thing, and that just opened up the opportunity for them to be able to do something about that because that position was pretty known. They were either going to have to rotate into the library, which was super dangerous because of the window and the exposure from the stairwell, but also the other opportunities to rotate to the top of the other stairwell, which Jan is also risky. So that kind of trapped them a little bit, and I think they took full advantage of that play. And then young Alec, you guys want to see him step up? 3K. He stepped up.
Or I believe already more kills in the last game that he played in. I think he only had 2 or maybe 1. But either way,
It's a
Alec,
good start.
we're happy to have you back. Beast Coast is probably just you know.
I don't think DarkZero were prepared for that level of aggression, so I don't know if that would really honestly work a second time. We might see a lot slower round for Beast Coast this time. But when you have an opening round like that, and you see the setup, right? The mirror windows are always a great tell on setup as well, because those combined with the reinforcements generally tell you where a lot of the players are going to be positioned. Yeah, you can't see through the window, but you know there's someone on the other side of it most of the time. Otherwise, why put it there unless it's for late game? So I think the ability to take advantage of that, plus the limitedness of that setup, because you have to really be set up in library and bar for the most part, I think they took full advantage. Now that things will change up a little bit, I just expect a much slower round.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing there for Beast Coast is knowing that well, most of the world holds that top floor like that. Everyone plays library balcony, everyone plays the top of blue, and you usually have somebody inside of library to handle anything when people hop in. So Beast Coast is thinking really far ahead on it, honestly.
Even the position from Canadian is fairly predictable as well. We've seen mirror plays from inside of that small closet there plenty of time, so it's a great read to come out. I believe that was also a frag from Alec also to be able to pick that one up and really just shut down any of these defensive plays. DarkZero does need to play a bit less predictably if they're going to look to have success here against the very aggressive Beast Coast, but as Emzo mentioned, that aggression is not always going to find success here due to how quickly teams adjust to it. I think we already are seeing a good example of that as Beast Coast is taking a much slower approach to things here in the second round.
The Thunderbird also will help with that as well, I think.
Yeah, that's actually what I was about to just harp on there.
We're on the same wavelength,
man. We finish each other's. You didn't say sandwiches. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in you.
I wanted to throw you out a little bit.
How dare you, Emzo?
That was building up to such a touching moment, and then Emzo just whiffed on it.
Dude, he just hardballed me right there. It's ridiculous.
Put you in your place.
Exactly. But some 6-pick coming in here, boys. We're going to have one from Anthony, as well as the Thunderbird coming in like you were talking about from Pambazoo, so some extra health to stack up for DarkZero, but also some serious implications that can come in inside of the late round here with these Candelas that can have some serious impact, especially on this top floor hold here, where we could actually see this going off a little bit earlier than expected.
So they're trying to put the aggression in towards this side of the site here, and more specifically towards the inside of the building, but it's going to come from Hyper and Panba instead. They're fending off most of this aggression. That one Beast Coast player we were looking at before, Sippin, not able to make his way into the bathroom, and quite a few of the other members of Beast Coast, as you can see here, a bit lost, even though they get inside control. Anthony going to become the most recent victim of DarkZero's defensive aggression here, as he moves out, brings it down to a 4v2. Alec as well, stuck behind a laser gate, does a way to rotate through it, and yes, he's going to have full control of Solarium, but that's only because DarkZero realized it. All right, we got this down to a 4v2. No reason for us to continue to try to take these fights upstairs. Let's move it to the site and bunker out the remaining 60 seconds.
Well, I want to correct myself. I wanted to say, you know, that I don't expect that level of aggression. I should have said, I hope we don't see that level of aggression again, because it's certainly backfiring on Beast Coast here.
Absolutely, and the big thing there for that is that Beast Coast lose those members, but they continue to try and snowball this, and they don't have the info to do so. They're just trying to search for these DarkZero members, and sadly, that's not how Siege works most of the time. You need info to back up your play, unless you just game sense it out and are able to get a couple of those, you know, high-impact frags. Speaking of high-impact frags, NGR is looking for one, and honestly might be on the receiving end. Yeah, more than likely heard Alec as he hopped over the Solarium stairwell. Have to worry about that angle as well, but he cleans up Eclipse as he knows that the other one's here, gets close and personal, and oh man, not enough damage. That M590, it's so good, but just enough distance there, and now look at the time. It's a 2 versus 1, and Canadian Hyper will clean it up inside of the 2VX.
Unfortunately, in those final seconds there, Beast Coast just being forced into the play due to a lack of time, and due to the fact they didn't have the extra time to drone things out on the inside of the site there, they walk right into the remaining setup from DZ. Even though things go quite well for them on the staircase there, just not enough time left to build it up towards the site.
Yeah, it was definitely a case where the early aggression backfired on them too much. Had they lost maybe one player, it would have been fine. They could have recollected themselves. Even if it was a line, no big deal. You know, whatever, we still got Ying for an aggressive play late round, things like that. But they overplayed their hand, and I think DZ was expecting that aggression after the first round, saying, you know what, if they do that, that's fine, we'll be ready for it. We've even got some healing here in case we need to poke at them and then retreat. So it was a situation where you had to know DZ were going to be more prepared for that. I don't know if they're going to try it again. I don't know if they're teasing the Ying in my 6th pick, but it's definitely, it would have been a good idea. So I hope Beast Coast aren't just going to be like, you know, let's just play as crazy as we can because we're somewhat safe, and that they're actually going to play smart here. Now, a Ying doesn't necessarily mean aggression early round, right? It's a perfect aggressor late round, so it's not necessarily telling the, oh, hey, we're going to go in. But I really like to see it combined with the line, right? Because you hit that line thing, and as the Candelas go out, they have to run away from the Candelas. Boom, they get marked. Now all of a sudden you know what sight looks like, for example.
This can work out very similarly to how we often see the Oregon basement attacks go, where you're going to see Beast Coast build up early control around the library and then use that as a staging ground to breach down both through the hatch as well as through blue stairs, of course supported by the Candelas, to flood the site and take out most of the natural resistance on the inside.
Yeah, and you know, this could be very problematic for Beast Coast, but overall with the setup and what both of you guys have been talking about, really appreciative of that, especially with this Ying play. But I have to agree with you here, Emzo. It's it's one of those late round things, but mostly for me, when I look at Ying and the Candelas, you want to send those directly at the heart of the strategy. Whether it be the top floor hold where they're dedicating most of their people or whatever, that's what you want the Candelas for. You want to be able to clean up shop at any moment in time with those. So we'll be looking to Beast Coast to either try and take some space or maybe wait a little bit longer, but you can see Anthony, he's already used one as they're starting to try and take control of Chalet.
Regardless, things starting out well for Beast Coast here as Panmo will end up being the first to fall. It's also the smoke going down inside of the first minute of the game, meaning all 3 of those toxic babes are going to go down uselessly, and DarkZero will lose that delay capability entirely.
Super unfortunate. I believe the smoke actually ended up falling through the floorboards there underneath the window, and DarkZero, they'll continue to persist. Minus Pambazoo on, obviously, who got picked off a little bit earlier here, and now Beast Coast with the advantage. Second E1D out, and JR won't be marked, but obviously they know where he's been playing around. You can see Anthony trying to barrel down on top of him right now, but oh no, it's going to be the Grishmont mines to take out Beast Coast, specifically Alec, who had 6 kills, but now he's got an extra death in that column.
Still, 6 kills, not bad.
Yeah, especially inside of just 2 rounds having been played out here. That's a massive contribution being found from him. And now it's going to leave you wondering, as we so often wonder for Beast Coast, who else is going to be available to be the hero in this round and step up to clutch it out. It's in a 4v4 as well. They still have the Ying alive. 1 Candela has been preserved, more than likely for the execute onto the site. I like what we're seeing from Eclipse right now, though. He's gone a long distance away from the site, and it's more than likely going to try to line up a flank opportunity that Sippin, I believe, is going to have to try and counter.
I'm looking at Sippin right here. I'm hoping he's going to be the one to step up because I expect he could be the one, especially on that operator, to do some serious damage, especially if he times it well with those Candelas to do a lot of flushing out of their main defenders. Because at this point, it's a hunt, right? They're just hunting to try and at least eliminate 1 more defender probably before they go for an execute. And they've still got 50 seconds left to do it because this is a small map at the end of the day. I mean, yeah, there's 3 floors, but the bottom floor often in these kinds of defenses doesn't really get utilized except for rotates. So it's not a bad position. It kind of reminds me of the basement villa, right? Where it's just there for rotates on these top floor defenses.
It's more of a roamer tunnel more than anything in a lot of situations.
Dig your way to the other side.
So with that in mind here, we're going to continue to see Beast Coast look for that opening kill. They nearly just get it right there. I'm sure you saw some of those tracers just barely sailing over NJR's head. He survives it though and takes no damage to account for it. And now Beast Coast have no choice. They have to commit to the inside. Sippin's going to find that opening opportunity though as he moves himself in through the side door next to the site. This will also allow Jay to get close up to the site to make a plant attempt. However, the Beast Coast numbers are very quickly diminishing, and there goes the planter as well. Fozo trades it, but it might be too little too late as Hyper still has the cutoff for him on the inside of the closet to shut down the round for DZ.
I mean, Canadian and Hyper, just a dynamic duo inside a site there, and they only had bar stock to work with as well. Canadian's getting tagged up from all the way out in Fireplace Hall, and he's still catching frags, boys. What do you do against that? For Beast Coast, it's a difficult path past our boy, young Alec, going down. That's the biggest issue right there. Alec goes down, and really no frag power coming through from Beast Coast in convincing fashion, and that's the biggest thing there.
Hamzo, we were so close to your strategy there as well, once again with the line being built up.
I understand. It's a situation where they just really couldn't get extreme value out of it. I do like to see sometimes the Candelas being used for roam clear. I think it is a great roam clear because the idea was it's a little more reliable sometimes than flashes to try and make sure to clear out roam. And it also forces people off position more because with the flashes, often people would just turn to the corner or something like that. And they can hold their position.
Well, not anymore. The flashes got buffed.
Right. So. But I just mean like that was the old school style of using it for roam clear for that reason. Now, maybe not as much anymore, but I do like to see that occasionally because you have 3. You don't always have to dump 3 in sight to get full utility. You can use some early on. It just would have been nice to see young Alec be able to do a little bit more damage, or someone else from Beast Coast to be able to step it up a bit more. You guys were talking about Canadian Hyper in sight. The game sense of both those players is so high, you're going to have to almost use utility to get advantage over them because they're just going to be like dogs in a corner just ready to bite as soon as you come in.
All right, well, let's get into our next round here as we'll start things off on a new site yet again for DZ. They'll head all the way into the basement for this one. Oftentimes can be quite a difficult site to hold, but the defenders have been learning more and more about it over the past few weeks and have been coming up with better and better setups to try and win things. This will be DarkZero establishing a very prominent lead, too, as we start to head towards the end of the half. So Beast Coast need to come into this one with a fire indeed if they want to stay competitive as we drift towards the end of the first half. Just some small breaches coming out on the X-Kairos there in order to make some holes into the garage. They're not going to open it up entirely just yet. They want angles for their guns more than anything, so the rest of the team can focus on the descent.
Indeed, and plenty of time in order to do so. Beast Coast be stacking up with the line again, but obviously the Jackal coming in here for Anthony to try and assist with some of this roam game that DarkZero has had going on. And really, it's been very potent at times. Beast Coast, other times around, though, been able to immediately clear things out and force DZ back to site. We've also seen how that went how that has went so far. And now for Beast Coast, well, you have to focus on this top floor clear. Lots of issues, especially trying to track down Hyper, going for the wall bang here, but he's going to be allowed to exist in this space a little bit longer here. Looking to try and get aggressive now towards Piano. This could be huge for DZ if he's allowed to get one of these picks.
Alec trying to go out for the swing here, but he's not going to be able to find the opponent he was looking for out of this situation, so continues to hold these more passively weighted angles as him and the rest of his team, supported by each other, are going to continue to clear things out, most notably on the second floor. But DarkZero's dodging all of this presence for the most part here. Hyper's going to stick around as he is going to be this more extended player. He's got a great opportunity to punish Anthony, and he excels at it as well. We'll move back into his other rotation point. Still has one more member of Beast Coast to deal with in this immediate area, and it's going to be Alec playing from the other side. This is the big MVP so far from Beast Coast, and if he can be eliminated, that is going to make Beast Coast be a shell of their former selves, and he gets the job done. Hyper shuts down young Alec, and now you just have Jay, Sippin, and Fozo left. Once again, a 3v5. But Hyper's going to continue his wrath as he gets a third kill before finally going down on the cross to Sippin.
Absolutely disgusting gameplay from Hyper there. And for DarkZero, I mean, what more can you ask out of him? Beast Coast, they try and clear out that top floor, but they're just not playing close enough together. The refrag, not capable of it, and immediately lose that. And now down to 45 seconds here. Beast Coast have got to do something. It's a 2 versus 4 as Sippin and Jay try to get through this.
I gotta give it up to the roam game here. Fantastic play. You even saw moves like Pambazu shooting as he was dropping hatch, so they'd think he's on that floor still, just forcing the roam clear and then killing 2, 3 on it. It's near impossible for BC to be able to bring this back. Yeah, it's just fantastic. It's exactly what they needed to do, is just play that roam, play all 3 floors, and make BC absolutely work for it. Their aggression's not going to pay off if they can't roam clear.
Not to mention wasting a bunch of their times. It's come down to the wire here now, and unfortunately the remaining 2 players don't even have an easy way into the site. Canadian and NJR will quickly shut things down in those final seconds, putting another one on the board for DZ and truly securing their lead for the foreseeable future.
Well, I think our worries are starting to come to fruition here, ladies and gents, and yep, we're going to have a Beast Coast timeout. I'm honestly happy that we're getting it so early on here. Beast Coast still have an opportunity to tie up this half as well, and just as a reminder to all of you at home, Chalet is indeed an offensive-sided map. And for DarkZero, I mean, they have been making this look so unbelievably difficult for Beast Coast, and I really hate to say it, but that top clear should have went off without a hitch. The fact that Hyper got away with so much right there should have never have happened.
Yeah, here's the problem. They brought a Jackal. That was the smart thing they did.
Yes.
The unsmart thing they did, to use the correct phrasing, is they didn't actually pinch off that information. Indeed. They didn't use that to go for a kill. They just traded body after body at it.
They didn't even stack for the trade either.
Exactly.
They know he's inside of that space and are like, okay, well, we're not really droning it. We're just going to clear it with ourselves, but then we're not going to play close enough together to be able to assist
when
each
I saw
other.
The second kill, I got deja vu because it looked the same.
Exactly. I mean, like, so are we on a team or are we not on a team?
Right. It's 1v5ing everyone.
Well, either way, this has forced a very early time out from the Beast Coast roster, as they'll take a few seconds to themselves to figure out what exactly has gone wrong and what they can do to resurface things here, and more importantly, catch this early round aggression from DarkZero that is constantly wasting down a minute or 2, if not more, from Beast Coast's attacking clock, as we saw a great example of in that last round, and of course the play from Hyper to really shut down the attack with 3 kills going his way.
We'll see if Finka can do anything for him here. That's one change-up they're bringing. Obviously not going to stick on the knock, as we were talking about earlier. Bringing the Ying yet again. I mean, I guess this does spell aggression to some extent with Lion, Ying, and Finka, but at the same time, maybe they're just bringing it for the nades, you know, try and get a little bit more out of the fact that Wamai's not here, like we were talking about. Bring a lot more nade operators. I'm honestly surprised they haven't been bringing more of them. They really focused on just using the Candelas or the Lion EE1D to try and flush people out, and that's not really been doing a whole lot for them. I mean, I don't know how great their grenade throws are in terms of being able to actually be lethal, but I would have liked to see that sooner. So I do hope Sippin is able to make maximum use out of those little pineapples.
Especially because you have the Wamai ban in here as well. You're only allowed to play Jaeger, as we all know the ADSs only eat up one piece of utility and then have that long cooldown.
You can clear them pretty easily.
Exactly. So it's extremely straightforward at the end of the day, and yet we still haven't seen anything come out of the frag grenades here for Beast Coast, and they're stacking 6 of those right now. I love this new HUD, by the way, guys. In case you guys didn't know, you can look to the top right, and you can see the amount of utility that each team has here. So 9 stuns, 6 frags, and 2 smokes along for the ride.
They keep adding so much information to this HUD. Eventually, it's just going to be a spreadsheet with a little map in the middle.
Oh, so it's going to be your favorite. You just get to manage
I'm looking
Excel.
forward to that.
All right, guys, but once again, let's take a look at what the opening strategy is going to be here from beastcoast, where they'll try to put pressure on early here, as this is going to be a lot of second floor control they'll need to try and bargain for if they want to find success. Notably, we see teams usually try to work themselves over towards Solarium, but it seems that BC want to try and put some additional pressure on the more unorthodox areas of the map. Look at this, it's going to be a rush play coming in for beastcoast. They forced the issue here, but it seems like DZ was ready for it. They traded out to even numbers, but so does beastcoast. They're in the fight as well, and this is going to be incredibly chaotic here as both teams try to figure out where exactly their opponents are positioned. The benefit for beastcoast here is the two players that were left alive are going to be ones that were forced off of the site. They're uncoordinated from each other. Bad timing from Sippin though as he looks away from the Mira just as she was about to push back in, so that gives her a lot more room to move forward and get closer to the site. Canadian as well, working on lurking himself closer to the office here to start putting pressure. The two DZ players working together to a huge degree. Canadian though pops a window open and finds Sippin on the other side of it, putting him into a down state and leaving Eclipse all by his lonesome.
Extended now for Eclipse. He'll tap away at this about halfway through. Knows one's out here. And oh man, Anthony, that was a misplay right there. Sippin's going to have to hop in, and he more than likely knows where he is. He has to win it, and Sippin will get the last 2 kills. What a strategy here from beastcoast. And honestly, it was looking like a rush strategy very early on. When the Finka came in, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was, do they have an LMG?
Right.
Because if they do, not only do you have the LMG on Finka, but you also have the LMG on Ying as well. Partner that with 2 smokes, 3 Candelas, and a hell of a lot of gunfire. You're not going to have fun on that defense. It's basically impossible to try and fight those people in that situation.
I love how after the whole conversation at the beginning, Sippin ended that round with 2 grenades still in his pocket. Didn't even use them.
To be fair, it was a rush play. But
No, honestly, I don't think it started at a rush play. I think they saw an opportunity. I think they were playing for a little bit of aggression. They saw an opportunity, and they were prepared based off their operator lineup to take full advantage of it. I think they were, figuring they might have to do a little more clearing, a little more work. They saw an opportunity, just rushed it. Like that's where that adrenaline boost really kicks in, both in your physical body and in your operator, to just go, you know what, just go guys, just go, we can do it. I mean, there were some misplays at the end for both teams that almost cost either one the round, but
I think that's more of a symptom of the chaos that was going on in the round more than anything there. Is obviously a rush play completely throws everything up in the air.
That starts to do a coin flip sometimes, to be honest.
And it nearly was there, as we saw Canadian obviously make his own mistake, popping open the window to find another player on the other side. beastcoast similarly nearly losing themselves by trying to get aggressive against the planter right there and being unable to punish them on the immediate counter defuse attempt. Very, very close between both teams there, but much more well fought by beastcoast as they finally get a second round on the board, though. Here's going to be the question, will they be able to repeat that success? Obviously not going to bring that same strategy to the table, as DZ will very much be ready for that this time. But away from that as well, DZ have also created a much larger field that needs to be cleared out by beastcoast before they can begin to push towards the site. The knock is also stuck in play this time as well, so that's going to be brought fully for beastcoast, played by Anthony.
Oh, and by the way, he did not 6-pick it. He did stick
there we
it
go.
indeed.
I've seen it now.
There it is.
Now John has bared witness to the Nook pick.
Thank you.
Yes, and also for you, Emzo, they updated this character actually, and they gave her frag grenades, so she's a heck of a lot easier to work in.
A little bit easier.
Yeah, exactly. So the big thing before was that it was kind of a flash in the pan sort of deal.
Right.
You know, it either works out or it doesn't. Now she can get rid of utility and do some other things besides her primary.
To be fair, frag grenades on an operator you're trying to be stealthy with aren't the most stealthy things, but
true.
Maybe late round pretty useful.
Yeah.
I do hope Anthony's able to get some full use out of the other operator, though, because we saw a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a misplay, he just wasn't able to get it off the first time.
Oh, beastcoast. Oh, guys, we got to get this figured out. Bio, you gotta say something to these people, my friend, because look at this drone economy right now. What has happened to you? There's 2 active drones on this whole damn map right now, and they're both Alex, who's tied for top frag.
And Alex got other things to worry about here
That's
at this point in the round.
Anthony will face check everything, don't worry.
Well, Anthony's going to need to be doing that in a big way and in a careful way here too, because as we just mentioned, no drone economy remaining for these players to utilize. Canadian's well primed and ready to go with a nitro cell should we start to see aggression against the window above him. Away from that, DarkZero overall very prepared for what's about to come in from beastcoast, and now they don't need to worry too much about intel either.
Yeah, yes indeed. I mean, this drone economy is looking like the 2008 housing market here. This is just absolutely absurd. Hyper's going to rotate out. These frag grenades cannot hit their mark either, as, well, they've expended so many of them. They brought 6, and they're down to 2. Finally going to be able to pick up a kill, but so much time as this dwindles down. Eclipse will lose his life here in Solarium, but can NJR do anything about this? It's actually Canadian to blow up 1. NJR can't win the fight against Sippin, and now we're into the 4 versus 3.
Well, they might have lost quite a few drones, but they do use the intel from them quite potently as we see this original execute go off without too much of an issue here, only losing Alec in the process. And in the meanwhile, dropping NJR and Eclipse, and for a moment, Hyper, but he's now going to get confirmed by Fozo as he tries to lurk a little bit closer towards the Solarium stairs. Panba will now take up the position on the inside of Trophy here to fend off the window pressure, and it will work as he takes down Fozo, making these numbers a bit more palatable. 38 seconds left though, but Panba continues the aggression, out to find Sippin by the next window on the other side of the building. He's got one more headed his way as well. Still going to see some pressure coming down the Trophy stairs. In fact, both of them could be taken down by Panba. They should expect him in here, but no! He gets the triple, going for the quad as well, and he gets it done! Panba secures another round for DZ!
That game sense was absolutely disgusting. The way that he pushes into Beast Coast and knows where all of those players will be playing. There's not a single lick of information outside these doors. That's all Pambazoo's big brain inside of that skull, just lining up all of those shots. And what better way to do it than with the SMG-11? Right. And not only that, 2 kills with 1 magazine. That's a very big thing there.
I love that he thought, like, I have no gas canisters left.
No.
And it's got to be a 2v whatever clutch, right, at this point. He's like, all right, well, I got to use my gun. That's all I could do at this point. He didn't even switch to the shotgun for those close range ones. He was feeling so hot on that SMG. And honestly, I don't think Beast Coast probably should have stacked those stairs like that. It kind of gave him a 2-for-1. But at the end of the day, you don't expect 2-for-1s out of the SMG like that.
Panba didn't even expect it either. He looked away. He was expecting I think he was expecting a hatch drop.
Right.
He goes for the reload. He hears the audio and he's like, oh, crap.
Well, I'm glad you can cancel it, right? Because remember, there was a point where you couldn't cancel it originally.
How dare you talk about Mav like that?
But
the poor M4.
That was definitely Pambazoo's round. That was a round that BC probably actually should have won, but you still had Canadian left alive too to be able to do some work. So that's a tough nut to crack at the end of it when he's in a tough situation like that, as we saw in previous rounds. So I mean, good on Pambazoo because they really needed to make sure that they maintained some kind of lead against Beast Coast here.
Well, let's see if DarkZero is going to be able to bring just as strong of a performance on the attacking side to push them forward, potentially over towards the Major as well. They do need to take this one and get the full 3 points in order to tie things up against TSM, beat them in a tiebreaker, and move themselves onward into the Major. I believe if things go to OT, unfortunately, DarkZero will no longer be able to claim that spot, but we'll have final confirmation on all that when we get back to the desk. Away from that, though, the setup is complete, and it's another very similar one coming out here from the Beast Coast roster, as there's big emphasis on the library hold initially as a time waster, and then we'll follow things up with the downstairs hold over towards the bar.
And shout out to Skies real quick for all the compliments on the commentary. Honestly, man, it's really just because we're in person, if I had to tell you. The home broadcast, I said this earlier yesterday, but it's just so alien. You're just alone in your room. You don't have your friends next to you. There's no energy. I'll be honest, I get to stand here, I get to yell with my friends and have a really damn good time. It's just great being able to watch Rainbow Six Siege back in person, and I'm really hoping that we get to continue to do this going into next year. But, guys, this is the last half of Siege for the NAL this season. It all comes down to this. DarkZero with an opportunity. They need 3 rounds in order to punch their tickets to Sweden.
You love it when the last match matters.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's what I was thinking earlier today. Honestly, when DarkZero lost, I thought it was over. I thought everything was done. DarkZero couldn't do anything, and, well, NJR can't get anything done early here. Alec will be able to get the initial frag on this half, and he'll start things off strong for Beast Coast. But, oh, the cannon fodder coming through. So much damage, and now Eclipse, he's bearing down on him. Nice angle you got there, Alec. Mind if I snap it?
Unfortunately for Alec there, he's going to go prone, and that's going to reveal his feet, making a very easy kill to be translated here by DarkZero. And even better, of course, bringing it down to an even 4v4. Fozo was looking to try and hold top blue control, but due to the loss of the Goyo shield, he's going to have to fall back. And actually, the Goyo fire spreads just a little bit, so he takes a slight tick or two of damage there in trying to fall back over towards the basement. Panba, though, already in position to put the aggression onto the site, has made a very, very forward move. Still, keeping in mind that there's over a minute remaining in this play right now. DarkZero do not need to be in this advance of a position this early on, but they are trying to do so anyway to weaken the defense on the site. That is going to attract the attention of Sippin, though, who is holding over on the inside of Dining Room. He realizes that there's no immediate presence in the front lobby, so he does back away, but those shots were more than likely caught by a member of DZ, so they're going to be aware of his position here on the hallway leading out to Dining Room at the minimum.
I'm absolutely loving this from DarkZero right now, because what they're doing, John, is they're making it to where there's more and more variables. You can see Beast Coast now have to go check these things because they don't have any insight onto it, so someone's got to manage that space instead. And now for DarkZero, they can go back into the execute that they were looking for originally. They have the hatches open up top. Also, with on my ban in place, Canadians move back to the Capital that we saw him play earlier today on Bankin. Whoa, my God, what is that? Fozo, he's the only one alive, and he's barely breathing as well. He's practically limping around the map at this point. Stun grenade out, won't blind him. He's going to move back towards the bar door here. Has a line of sight, but not able to connect the shots at Vector. Just a little bit wide on the spray, and way too many DarkZero members to really try and take a heads-up gunfight. It'll be Pambazoo to take him down, and DarkZero looked dastardly on this offense.
Yeah, you saw some good early aggression from young Alec, but once he wasn't able to get any more kills off that and getting killed himself, they started losing a lot of map control, and you saw them pull back, which was the smart thing to do. The only problem is, as I said, this is a small map. That doesn't leave you a lot of places to hide and hang out, and even rotating through the basement requires you to rotate through stairs most of the time. Yeah, there's some hatches, but that's risky in and of itself, especially if you need to rotate back up. We saw just DarkZero take full advantage, take control of the map, set up angles, get into positions where they could make kill shots, and you saw Canadian as well setting up with the smoke, making great use of the Capitao. It just, you saw the collapse was perfectly illustrated by 3 kills almost immediately in a row. It was just a great position for them to be in to just trap all the rotates.
I mean, let's be honest. There's nothing quite like watching Canadian IGL a game. Because you get these moments where there's just an immediate pop-off and 3 people just fall to the floor. You're like, okay, what happened? You know? That's when you know that bar has just been set so unbelievably high. And there's not very many people that are that consistent inside of their IGLing. And honestly, that's why we continue to talk about Canadian in such a positive light. Because, I mean, guys, he's an OG double hammer winner. What else can you really say? I mean, he's done it twice, and he's looking to do it again with none other than DarkZero.
So getting into our 8th round here, DarkZero with that great aggression to pinch out Beast Coast before they're ever really stabilized on the inside of their site, specifically Panba taking that very early front lobby control and making the still off-site players from Beast Coast panic, centralizing them in one area where, as we saw, DarkZero were able to execute 3 to 4 of the remaining members of that roster in literally split-second timing of each other there. See if DarkZero can bring something as coordinated to the table. And Beast Coast still have quite a hefty setup upstairs here. They're still working on it, as DarkZero have spawned. But the emphasis this time is going to be over towards kitchen here, which means we have the upstairs hold on the inside of office and the master bedroom.
Is it absurd to anybody else that Beast Coast is 8th, DarkZero is 7th, and if they win this game, they go to Sweden? That's the biggest. I just keep looking at those numbers, and it just blows my mind.
Not to mention the fact that DarkZero could have potentially been in risk
relegated
of relegation
as well.
here. If Exet had won their game, DarkZero literally would have been playing either for a playoff spot or elimination.
Gotta imagine it's an emotional seesaw for DarkZero today, period.
For Canadian as well. I mean, the guy just came back, and he's like, what is this? What is happening right now? You know, but hey, DarkZero, they've been able to barter for quite the lead right now. 3 rounds over Beast Coast, and for Beast Coast, these defenses, at least to start, looking pretty lackluster.
Well, at this point, they're sitting away from match point, but it's entirely possible Beast Coast could come back and sweep this. They didn't lock down at least the overtime by having that 6 points yet, so they're really going to have to make sure they extra concentrate this round to at the very minimum lock down 1 point.
It's going to be a necessity, my friend, because DarkZero, as I'm assuming you were about to say, John, DarkZero's 1 round away. They're about to be on that penultimate round that we talk about so much, but I will remind you guys once again, as we usually tend to do when we get in a situation like this, Beast Coast have got to shore up this right now. You do not want this mistake to happen in the moment, because then you're practically dead in the water. Siege has way too many variables, and honestly, Emzo, I don't know either with the gun.
Well, I like to see that they brought so many operators just to slow things down on the attack, right? They brought the frost mats, they brought the castle barricades, the mozzies, the Rooney gates. There's plenty to slow them down as much as possible. Everything they brought is for that. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, you lose Fozo still, and young Alec having to make a run for it.
Alec actually getting hit pretty heavily by that grenade. They're not going to be full killed, however, that is going to also allow for DarkZero to move in and more than likely take control by the bathroom if they want to. Definitely can do so. Now the Canadian has secured the cutoff. He's going to go for a 2nd kill also, but this one will be a tad too aggressive. Jay gets him instead, but Jay also takes a hefty amount of HP damage as well. Beast Coast have now fallen back to just holding the first floor here. They're going to give up entirely on their dreams of trying to extend things out, but unfortunately, they're going to continue to lose players as DarkZero refuses to stop snapping this jaw shut. They'll find a 2nd kill, and now it's just Jay and young Alec, who you can see are on blinking red HP for both of them. DarkZero fully healthy in the meanwhile there, especially with those adrenal lows still being pushed out by Hyper.
Jay and Alec have to fight fire with fire here. They need some very serious picks, but with 20 seconds remaining, E1Ds abound. Execute coming in soon for the DZ members. Have to swing in through this, and Alec might be able to get a pick off rip, but they're waiting on it. Oh man, the distraction. DarkZero are practically inevitable at this moment. He even got the frost mat for good measure as well, John. Beast Coast, they required 4 rounds in order to tie things up right now perfectly on a offensive-sided map.
They can taste it. They could taste that plane ticket to Sweden. I don't know why they're eating it, but they can taste it. I mean,
I missed you so much, Emzo. Did I tell you that? I missed you so unbelievably much. And if anybody didn't laugh at that dad joke, we're not friends. You leave the chat right now, and I want them banned. That's just how it works.
They can taste their airline meal. That's what they
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I mean, or lack thereof taste.
It tastes like a ticket, though, pretty much.
I was gonna say I like seeing Canadian back on Ash sometimes, but he's gonna 6-pick away from it. So thanks, Troy.
Well, I mean, he has been on the carousel today. I mean, we've seen him play. That's right.
Sometimes I think he hits random and then sees if he likes it. Yeah,
you know, maybe you just flip a coin every once in a while. Right. You're like, hey, we gotta mix it up just a little bit.
That's what I love about old school players is just their flexibility and the amount of roles, the amount of operators, the amount of things they can play, and then the way Canadian plays it just in general is this very like big brainy. Let's try different things. Like he's always thinking of what he's gonna do that round as like different ideas. It's never just here's the set strats, here's our strat book. Yeah. It's more like he's constantly thinking, and that's why you see operator changes all the time.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you're ready for this, here's Canadian's line of thought on this one.
Right.
He thought about what Beast Coast site choice was going to be for this, what's going to be the most defendable one for them to get one on the board in such a desperate moment, and he knows it's going to be this top floor. Now, what's the big implication for this top floor? It's shield gameplay. So they're going to 6-pick away from the Ash, which is a little bit more difficult to use. It's very good. It is. But it's not as good as Flores in getting rid of those positions because of
things.
As well as ADSs can't stop a drone, can they? So very easy and straightforward.
Maybe we need a buff to ADSs to stop drones.
Please stop. Oh no, not again.
I would love to see Welcome Apps catch them just for the hell of it.
All right, well, building up in these final 2 minutes of play, we will see if DarkZero can leverage their control onto the site. As you said, trying to quickly deal with the shield setup with the Flores explosive drones, and they'll fulfill that role very quickly. 40 seconds in, and they've already taken the entire setup down with just a single one of those drones.
You know, who died and let me be so smart? That's all I want to know, but I'm completely joking, obviously. But for Beast Coast, I mean, this is not looking too good initially, just because of the strategy that DarkZero's using to clear out this space. They're not going to have an opportunity to really hamper down on these Rotero drones unless they're able to get a line of sight on them. But that could be fairly difficult, especially with how DarkZero's playing this right now. We just saw Fozo take a lot of heat at the top of blue, and that's more than likely going to continue.
Despite the loss of the utility as well, it seems like Alec, because he still has the mirror window to play from, is going to continue to fight in the exposed library spot out on the balcony for the main lobby here. He's also still going to have Sippin on the inside of library itself, but they now know at least someone is nearby due to the fact that the drone snuck in. Nade's going to try to isolate Sippin. It won't work. He'll try to push, though, and Panva will very much be ready to take that fight. Sippin is also going to fall as well. That's going to detach a large majority of the exposed aggressive positions, and Fozo is next at top blue here. He as well cannot maintain his position on the staircase, so he will go down. Not fully eliminated just yet, however, but he'll get confirmed by Canadian. Jay and Young Alec are the only two remaining, and they still have the full roster of DarkZero to fend off. Still as well, over 1 minute and 15 seconds to waste from DarkZero's time here. DarkZero will be very, very careful to make sure that they succeed in taking down these last two players without much of an issue. There goes Jay, and it's all left on to Alec here, the best player in the matchup until this point, but it's not going to matter as Canadian shuts it all down. DarkZero get a flawless round, and they are going to the major in Sweden.
Well, I hope they like the cold, Emzo, because if they don't, they're going to need to buy some extra layers. The tickets have been punched. DarkZero survived the day, and it takes us all the way down to the last game of the season in order to decide it.
Well, it's a good thing they brought a Canadian for that cold. It's definitely a situation where I imagine DarkZero were really nervous about this, but now you got to imagine Troy screaming.
Oh, right? Absolutely. There was a woo in that one for sure.
For sure. I mean, that's very exciting.
Yeah, the guy was probably mad at me for that one. You're right.
Well, with how shaky things have been for DarkZero lately, I got to imagine that they were like, did we make the right choices for the roster? You know, bringing Canadian was a big play, right? The joke about the swaps, this sort of weird swap they did with SSG and stuff like that. You got to wonder, like, was it the right decision? And now they can feel like, you know what, whether it was the right decision or not in the moment, we're going to Sweden. So it was the right decision. Canadian obviously brought a lot to this team as well. And this was a team that was already great, so don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, Canadian brought a lot to this team. This team already had a lot there as well. You've got coaches like BC. They have to bring it at LAN again, and that's something Troy excels at.
And while there have been struggles for this team inside of the actual stage, I think that what's most important is, as you were saying there, they have made it to the major now, and they had that opportunity to truly prove themselves as a team on an international platform. That's what they were looking for. That's what they needed to see what Canadian's going to be able to do for them. And now it's just a waiting game as we wait for the major to start and see what exactly DarkZero, as well as the rest of our qualified North American teams, can do.
Well, I don't know about you, and I don't know about you. And honestly, I don't know about you at home either. But I know I'm very excited to see Canadian at LAN. I'm just saying, it's just about damn time to see Troy hop back up on that horse and see what he can get done at an international LAN. The last time we saw Troy, SI 2020, man.
I was there for that one. So.
Yeah, you were indeed. You were doing so good on that teleprompter, too. I mean, just absolutely dashing.
I need to draw
as
circles
always.
on here, too.
Well, once again, though, a massive effort put up there by DarkZero. And while, again, we saw some good things out of Beast Coast, the individuals not able to step up to the plate, along with the tactical mistakes made on the inside of their strat deployments, once again pushes them into a losing position for this matchup. And unfortunately, second to last place finish on the season as well. But that does mean that they're going to stay safe, and more importantly, inside of the NAL going into our next season next year.
And I mean, as for Beast Coast, honestly, I almost feel like I cursed them. When we were at the beginning of this game, I was like, I'm really scared of this being a 7-1 or 7-2.
Yeah.
Well, it was a 7-2. So, you know, like, this has been my concern all stage. It just seems like Beast Coast are either completely on or completely off.
They
There
showed a
is
lot of
no
potential,
in-between.
though.
And
be
yes,
fair.
there's those signs of life.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. They're just signs of life. We need a solid pulse here in order for this team to find something, get some air under those wings, and start shooting for higher areas. You know, we want to see them up in that top 4. That's what we hope for all of our teams because, well, honestly, it just makes for good siege.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for the three of us here. I do want to give a massive shout out for Emzo for coming in here incredibly short notice as well. We really appreciate you stepping in to help us out over these past 2 days. And I hope, again, that this is a little awkward getting across here, but we'll get it done anyway. As we want to give, again, another big thank you to Emzo for coming over here to Los Angeles to help us out to fill it. Obviously, we wish it was under better circumstances, but again, we thank him anyway. And that is going to do it for the three of us, folks. We'll send it one more time back to Veli and the Desk to break down this final game.
The TriCast was better than ever. Thank you so much, Emzo, Stokes, and Blue. DarkZero booked their ticket to Sweden, and we get to see this team try once again to make NA proud, and I can't wait. But for those of you at home, yes, I know that was the final match of the day, but trust me, you do not want to go anywhere anytime soon. If you love Rainbow Six Siege and you love everything that's going on, you will want to watch this show until the very end. Trust me. But Jacob and Jesse, that's it. DZ finally did it.
That's it. That's the end of the season, barring the NA finals.
Yeah.
We're done.
I feel empty, man. Don't say that.
I've got nothing else to really say
it.
at this point. I know. What I will say, just this one time, Lycan was right, and I'm going to leave it there. So, DarkZero booking a ticket to Sweden, like you mentioned. A fourth squad finally getting confirmed. It took all the way up until the very end. It's almost like North America loves the drama of having to push it all the way up until the last game of the last Playday. But we finally got there, and DZ's going all the way.
And what a performance from some of the fraggers on DarkZero. I mean, this was an impact game. So dominant over Beast Coast, right? Hyper performed so well at the first couple of rounds of this game. Pamba picked it up near the end. Troy, I feel like, was not sort of having those highlight moments the other two fraggers were, but he's right up there in the frags.
Yes, sir.
10 and 4, just beside Hyper and Pambazoo. So really strong performances from the players that you need to see pop up from DarkZero if they're going to perform and do well in Sweden.
You got the double-digit twins on the side of DarkZero, Hyper and Canadian with 10 kills apiece. But also, take a look at Beast Coast. Sippin stepped up yet again this week, but it wasn't enough for the team as they fell by 5 rounds on Chalet. But Jacob, it's gotta hurt, man. Yes, Beast Coast, they're not going to relegations, but it seems like the theme of today is every team on the bottom end of the standings made a statement in order to look towards the future. And for Beast Coast, man, they just laid on their back.
Yeah, putting it in perspective about how Astralis, Mirage, Xset, even in a loss, still wore their heart on their sleeves in their matchup from earlier. I'm going to say it out loud. Beast Coast should have been the one playing relegations and not Xset. And the reason I say that is the point spread that Beast Coast had against some of the top teams, even teams that weren't even that phenomenal in the NAL. This is the most basic stat you can think of. Xset won 39 rounds combined over all of the 8 games they played in this stage. You want to know how many Beast Coast have won? 26. There's a 13-round difference between the team that's going to play relegations in December and the one that just played on your screens not 5 minutes ago. I don't understand how Beast Coast managed to do this. They got really lucky with the 2 relegation wins they were able to get, including the tiebreaker over Xset. But for the love of God, dude, this team needs to show something else.
I mean, at the end of the day, we got the match earlier in the stage, XSET versus Beast Coast, and on that day, Beast Coast was better, and that's why they're here and XSET aren't going to be. So, or potentially won't be. They'll get to play that relegation match. They're not auto-relegated, but
Not yet.
very scary situation still.
Right, they're not in the whole relegation scheme yet, but they still have that match to play. But fellas, DarkZero made it. Jesse,
Yeah.
high hopes for the fourth team that's going to represent North America, TSM.
For sure.
They missed out on their chance, and DZ are our number 4.
That's gonna be
Yeah, I mean, TSM dropped the ball today, too. It was a kind of a common theme, right?
Yeah.
TSM had their opportunity to lock it down by beating Mirage. Didn't happen. They ended up losing that game, and so TSM aren't able to lock down Sweden.
that
But
feels really weird, dude.
they'll be back.
Really weird,
Like
know,
TSM not going to a major event feels so out of place.
Remember when TSM were super dominant this year?
Yeah,
and we were
beginning of stage
questioning.
2.
Right before Space Station Gaming took over, it looked like TSM were the unbeatable ones.
They
Yeah.
were second place in everything during the online era. They made every major event this year, and now they're not going.
And they were, because they made every major event this year, right? They did enough in the first 2 stages to still be in an okay spot for SI.
This
I
is true.
believe
Yes.
they currently sit in a top 16 spot, which would qualify them to SI through the points. However, based on how teams do at the major, other teams could get enough points to knock them out. So really, TSM, although they're not going to Sweden, they're going to be glued to their monitors watching those games because that's going to have a huge impact on whether they get to go to the biggest tournament of the year or
Right.
not.
All right, now, fellas, it's time for the MVP discussion.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Today
dude.
has been so long and so crazy, I forgot every stat line. Jacob, Jesse, who do you think are going to walk away with it for the final play day of the year?
Faults had a good game.
Oh,
I
he
remember
did.
just based on the numbers,
He
Faults
was
had a
like
really
18
good
or
game.
19 kills against XSET, yeah.
Yeah, he pulled through. There was a Rexon lost. His team lost, but he also
Oh, Rexon.
he did
a lot of kills.
everything he
True, true.
could to pull Sonics to as many rounds as they were able to get.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on Astralis really had that much of a standout
No.
performance, even though they did still win on bank against DarkZero.
Yeah.
Loading got an ace.
Is it
was
Loading
very
against
impactful.
TSM?
All right, so the MVP will be. It's going to show up on the screen. I'm guessing it's
I have
folks
no
from his
idea.
performance in.
Tommy!
He had a
Tommy.
really good impact in that matchup as well. I believe he was their highest rated player. Fantastic performance from him. And this was a super important game for Mirage, for TSM, for everybody. The impact that Thomas was able to have for Mirage and the rest of the team together coming through, saving themselves from relegations and sending TSM, out of the major spot.
I'm simply going to say this once and then never say it again. XSET, Tommy was not the problem.
He wasn't.
Probably not.
I'm going to say, man, if Thomas was still on the team, especially with the pickups of Prod and what we see from Razor, that XS squad really would have been nice, man.
It's unfortunate to see. I mean, there have been a lot of kind of poor roster moves. DarkZero go to the
Changes
major.
happen.
Yeah, but I still think a lot of people are going to be kind of talking about that roster move is maybe not the best one. XSET as
bet.
well.
Hindsight is
It
always
happens.
20/20, right? But let's
Indeed.
go ahead and take a look at the standings to see how Stage 3 from the NAL Season 2 has turned out. At the top, we know the teams that are already representing us when it goes to Sweden.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm jealous. That major seems like it's going to be phenomenal, right? Space Station Gaming, Oxygen, Sonics, and now, fellas, DarkZero, and also going to relegations in red. I hate that it has to be XSET, man.
Yeah.
They got so much better towards the end.
No, but the conversation we've been having over the whole stage about which team was going to go to relegations in the first place, and unfortunately, we were right, I think, for the most
Yeah.
part. I think if I were to do a power ranking, which I know I'm not doing for this show here, but I'm looking at this and thinking XSET and Beast Coast were always in that conversation. I don't think I would have pegged Astralis as being nearly down this far, given how stages 1 and 2 went for them, but it's nice that they're still kind of above that bottom 2. Mirage being in 6th is just a precursor to the way that they played earlier in this year as well, when they were 3rd, and then they dropped down into 5th or 6th place, I want to say. So it's still, I think, back-to-back relative finishes over stages 2 and 3 for them. TSM, this is a bummer because they haven't been out of a top 4 in stage 1, but hey, to the 4 teams going to Sweden, congratulations. You do, in fact, deserve to be there.
I do want to highlight, though, something we never talk about. 5th to 8th, I mean, that is a pretty big difference
Yes.
for TSM. The amount of SI points they're going to get from finishing 5th compared to
Very
if
true.
they'd finished lower down than they did. That's a huge deal. It's also a big money gap as well. It's $3,000 separating 5th through 8th, $5,000 versus just $2K for Beast Coast. So,
Indeed.
maybe Geo can get a new car. I don't know what they're going for, but hey.
The one thing I do have to
Cash.
say, to places 5th through 8th, I just want to say, compared to previous stages, those teams are usually down in the dumps. But for these teams, they were highly competitive. I love how Stage 3 has turned out. And fellas, that's pretty much it so far for Stage 3 for Season 2 wrapped up. Yet another season in person. Couldn't have asked for anything better than that. And usually, we go back and forth to each other to talk about what we love throughout not only the play day, but the stage and the season. But I think it's only right that we bring in the rest of the family to close things out the way it should be.
Where my boys at?
So nice having people on land,
Got
man.
that right.
I'm so happy about this.
I got you a drink, buddy.
Drink up, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Get in here, man.
You're saying the words about the. You're the one who's supposed to give the show.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought it was you.
Parker, I mean,
Felt was a little premature on the headset removal.
No, ultimately, so far this stage, it's been phenomenal, right? I mean, everything that's been going on in Rainbow Six Siege from the beginning until now, we couldn't have asked for a better squad, especially in NA. When it comes to every single one of you, I couldn't ask for even a better family, better teammates, better supporters around us. Yes, the reason why we're here today and yesterday wasn't what we all wanted, but I'm just happy that we're here to begin with and that we all had an amazing, phenomenal show and we gave it our all.
Absolutely. And I think you said it best. We're not here for the reason that we want, but the most important part is that we're here, frankly.
We're together.
We're all together. Whether he wanted it or not, and would have rolled his eyes or not, we're all still here. So he might have been my partner, but to all of you, he was a friend and a colleague. And to the people who watched, he was an irreplaceable part of our community. So not just to the NAL, but to Michael.
to Michael.
To Michael.
Cheers, boys.
Can't say I've ever drank on a broadcast before, so.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Michael. We appreciate that. But, oh man.
Cheers to NA.
Cheers to North America.
You know, honestly, I only feel like it's fitting. Cheers, buddy.